All right, and we are recording. Perfect. So once again, thank you very much for accepting the invite to join today's video conference. My today's guests are Hadleigh and Femke. And for the dear audience, please introduce yourself so that everybody knows who you are, what is your background, and so that everybody has a better idea why you're actually here today with me. So, ladies first, Femke, if you don't mind.
No, hi, thank you. I'm Femke. I'm a business mentor. I support startup and small business owners. I help them actually to become or to stay successful entrepreneurs and also to enjoy the journey of being or becoming an entrepreneur. I'm Dutch. I live in for 6 years now, or almost 6 years now in Switzerland. I'm actually also owner of another company, Cruise Communication, and with this company, I help other companies to communicate better.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Hadleigh?
My name's Hadleigh Fischer, and I'm the founder and managing director of Resilience Agenda. Resilience Agenda is one of Australia's fastest growing mental health awareness and positive action organisations. We're a social enterprise. Our goal is to change the meaning of mental health so that it's something more relevant, engaging, and empowering for people. And what we try and do is explain to people that we all have mental health. It's really important to work on it and to manage it. And we're learning this really importantly right now during the corona crisis. We try and raise awareness of mental health. We provide hope for people and inspiration to make the idea of mental fitness something they do each and every day. And to do that, we do courses and seminars, produce our annual Resilience Agenda diary, and are in the process of growing our brand both in Australia and across Europe.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Hadleigh. Well, and I'm your host today, Stefan Kuruc, and I'm the founder of Help and Trade. And also, I'm running the podcast for starting entrepreneurs under the same brand and name of Help and Trade. The reason why we established this video conference is very simple. There is currently crisis ongoing. Everything is on lockdown. Everybody's sitting home. Hopefully, everybody's sitting home. And so a lot of things are rather not moving. Therefore, I thought it would be interesting to give a certain message of hope, but also motivation to entrepreneurs out there. Therefore, I invited you both, Hadleigh and Femke, because Femke, you're a business coach and you went through a couple of crises, not only on your own, but also the economical one and even the dot-com bubble. So I think there is a lot of experience and that you can share with the audience. And Hadleigh, on the other hand, you're yourself an entrepreneur. You're facing it right now from the first row. So there is a lot of restriction on your side that you have to face, but also you are the one that is sharing the motivation to other entrepreneurs, which would be interesting to have that perspective. How do you keep up actually with this mess, and how do you keep up sane with this and motivate yourself to move forward? So, Femke, let's start with you. The very first and most pressing, of course, of the questions is, what am I supposed to do now? I'm an entrepreneur. I can't do my business. I can't meet the people, the clients personally. What is there what I can do?
Yeah. Well, there is, of course, not one answer for that, unfortunately. But I can tell you a little bit more what my experience is and what I see around me and what I advise my clients and how I support them in this ground. And hopefully that gives you a bit of a sense what you can do and how that can help other entrepreneurs. I think the most important thing to do now is to take a breath and take some space to see what's actually happening to you and how you feel. And I'm saying that because what I see a lot is that people want to take action now. They feel the urge, I have to do something now. It sometimes even doesn't matter what they're going to do, but I feel I have to do now. But they see a lot of initiatives coming up. You will see that, I think, online. Online programs, online coaching, online support, online product buying. And if you haven't had that in place yet, people think like, I have to do this now. Or they hear from their colleagues, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Um, that could be a good solution if that is, within your beliefs, within your values, but also if you're emotionally ready to make a chance and see possibilities. And this went so quickly, I think, the corona for everybody. The changes came into our life. It changed our life a lot. And for most of the entrepreneurs I'm working with, I think it's good just to take one step back and see what's going on. What happens to you? What has got priority now? For example, for myself, within one day, I was not working on my own at home. I was sitting with a family, with a husband who works, a lot of hours a day, is constantly in calls. Kids who needs homeschooling and needs a bit of support. Everybody is bored. Everybody is annoyed. I can't think about my business to see what my next steps are with so many things around me. I need some time. I need to adjust to new situation. So for most of us, I think this is about take a deep breath and focus on your priorities now. Take care of yourself, take care of your family, so that you all find a kind of comfortable situation you are in. And not everybody is there yet. Once you are there, so once you feel comfortable again, and know what is going on, are you scared? Are you angry? Know what emotions are going on. Then you can create at some point some space. What am I going to do now? What opportunities do I see? Can I collaborate with somebody? What actions can I make? And we very often, when something happens to us in business, but also I think in private life, but let's focus on business, is we want to have a quick fix. We very quickly want to take action because otherwise we lose a lot. But this quick fix is not always the best solution. It's sometimes very short term. It gives maybe some money or it gives some happiness because you have the feeling you're doing something. But in the long term, it's not always bringing these kind of things. So I give the advice to my clients now. Think about when you're starting up your business. Why did you start up your business? What are your values? What are your beliefs? Go back to the basics. And then what can this bring you? What kind of openings do you see based on these values, of these beliefs, the reasons why you started your business? I think that's a very good start.
Understood. Well, thank you much for your perspective. Hadleigh, any thoughts on Femke's words?
Yeah, I agree entirely. Go back to values and why you started the business. I think that's important. I think the thing about don't just rush to action is really important. I think there's a really important consideration about strategy. For example, now with my business, I can't tell you the number of times people who have told me over the last 3 years, why don't you start an app? Why don't you start an online learning platform? But what we do at the moment is we make products. And our point of difference is to make physical products. There's a lot of coaches out there, there's a lot of advisors, but we actually turn these into tangible products. And that actually opens doors for us. From a business perspective, what I'd encourage people to do is to think about the distinction between working in your business and working on your business. Very often we're working on this treadmill of producing content, producing podcasts or social media content or whatever it might be. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs don't take the time to step back, or at least they don't have a system to work on the business. Where am I going? Why am I doing this? And to be really strategic. I think a lot of the advice that you read on the news over the last couple of days is all very tactical in nature. Try this tactic. Get onto online learning or video conferencing. They're tactics. That's not business strategy. Strategy is about doing things differently. And if all your competitors are going to be doing the same thing, then it's a race to the bottom and a zero-sum game.
Nice. Hadleigh, thank you very much for the thought. I can only tell I'm on board with both of you, although probably I'm also on the side of feeling the pressure that I have to do something. And in my feeling is that I need to do something and I need to make a difference, because at the end of the day, the crisis is going to end at some point. And the crisis, for some, it may be the wall, but for me, I see it as an opportunity and I want to use it. And I want to use it for for two specific actions, which is the continuous development and the continuous value delivery. And I think the continuous development goes in hand, as you mentioned. For example, the online platforms. Learn something that you never had the time to do so. Improve things that you never thought you're going to have time to do so. And that is something you can do totally from home. It is something that you have the opportunity to catch and grab on right now, and that can make a long-term difference. And that is kind of also your own investment into not only yourself, but also into your business and your relationship with your close one, which you're now stuck at home. There is a lot of things to be improved on that stage as well. And on the other side, the continuous value delivery means for me that, as Hadleigh, for example, mentioned, take a step back and think what you can do differently. What is the strategy? How do you work on your business? Whereas I think this is exactly what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to create additional value for people who are around help and trade, or I would like to reach out to. Go for it, Hadleigh. Yes.
You used the word stuck before. Now, this has the potential to come across as just positive thinking nonsense. But if you consider yourself stuck at home and use that word stuck or trapped or whatever, that's how it's going to feel, and that's going to impact your behavior. And there are tried and true ways to be able to step back from that, and you don't have to think that it's being stuck. So for someone like me, who's worked at home for the last 3.5 years, this is just a continuation of what I know. So I'm not thinking of this as being stuck. Someone who's used to going into the office every day, or whose company has a culture of not working from home, they might feel like this is an opportunity to be stuck. But with the right strategies and tactics, and I'm sure we'll go into those very shortly, there are ways to, A, not think about it like you're stuck, B, to separate and rather integrate, work and life, and then thirdly, to set yourself up so that when things do return to normal, you've actually learned something and you can, take this experience with you to be more productive or more effective in the future.
Great. Thank you for your input, Hadleigh. Very valuable. So, Femke, going for the strategies and tactics, what is it would you suggest entrepreneurs doing right now besides tightening their belt and making sure that they have enough cash for additional 3, maybe 6 months to survive?
Well, that's an important. So you said besides, but that's actually for a lot of entrepreneurs an important thing. Like cash is king. Has save the money there where you can. Also, don't rush into the quick solutions. I'm repeating myself, but this is very important. So once you are settled down with your emotions, and also that I can say it's because it's okay to be scared and it's okay to be angry for a while, and to acknowledge that. Then it's time to go back to the roots from what is it what I want? Why does this business exist? What have been my achievements? What are my values? What are my beliefs? And within this set of beliefs and values and your goals, what can I do in the coming 3 months, in 6 months, in a year? Samuel Hadleigh said it's good to also look. We will get out of this. That's for sure. We all, this is maybe not a nice and a rough something. quite rough for most of us, but this will pass, and you have to be ready when has been passed. I think this is really important to focus on, and not stay in this, what do I do now, but what will I do in 3 months' time, and 6 months, and 12 months, and how does that contribute to my company, what I am standing for. That's one important thing. The other thing, what I also find important, when I talk to my clients, especially when they come in and start up the business, I always ask them, why do you start up the business? And I actually wrote it down. It's kind of 3 or 4 is, it gives me freedom, I am in charge, I am the one who can make decisions, I want to be independent, I want to make a difference in the world, I want to make a change. I am my own boss. All these kind of things come always back. I want entrepreneurs to get this feeling back, because you are actually in a very, I think, good position as an entrepreneur at the moment. I think it's a better position than an employee, where people have the feeling, I have to wait, I don't know what's happening, it all comes over me. Can I go back to my work? Will I lose my job? Can I only work 80%? We as entrepreneurs don't have that problem. And that's, I think, also a mindset. You actually have a lot of power as an entrepreneur. So take that and know that there will be, there is a life after Corona. And there is, you have to focus on that with your company. What will I do in the meanwhile to survive with the Corona? And what are the steps after it? And well, again, the word stuck. I see a lot of people stuck now. How do I survive? They only want to swim. They're swimming and swimming against the waves. But you have to see that bigger picture. What you always have to do as an entrepreneur, but now the Corona is there, people find that more difficult to do.
Sure. Hadleigh, you were raising your hand a couple of times. That means you
Yes.
have notes down,
Yeah,
thoughts.
I couldn't agree more, Femke. So optimism is a skill, and some people have a better developed sense of optimism than others. And you can really see this in people's social media posting, the way they communicate in news articles, and some of the blogs you read. Looking for opportunities in crisis is a skill. And I guess a big takeaway from this is, while if you are focused on why me, poor me, what do I do now, your competitors are going to be looking for opportunities here. So on the one hand, there's you don't want to rush to action, but by the same token, if you let this get the better of you, your competitors will be taking advantage. The second thing is, there's always learning that comes from a crisis situation. And one of the skills of mental fitness that we try and promote at Resilience Agenda, and one of the skills of resilience, is actually doing some of that learning before or while you're in the middle of the crisis. So, for example, this is probably not the best time to be looking for the silver lining if you've never done this before. But it's better to start now than to wait 12 months from now. The best time to start this process was 12 months ago. But I think people are starting to see that well-being is really important. The way we think about things is really important, and there are tools and techniques we can use. The third thing is an idea about learning optimism that comes from an American psychologist by the name of Martin Seligman, and it's called the 3 Ps. And it's a really, really valuable thing that is highly applicable to coronavirus. So the 3 Ps are 3 questions you ask yourself when a situation seems overwhelming. The first one is this permanent? Usually when I'm explaining this idea to someone, I use the example of a job loss or a breakup. Now, we have all heard people say, someone broke up with me, I'll never fall in love again, I'll never be happy. Or you lose your job and you hear someone say, well, I can't be happy again. I'll never find a job like this again. And then they go out and do it. Just takes a year or two. And it's actually a skill to be able to think, well, hang on, no, this is not permanent. We'll get through this. If you think about all the historical events of this century, the wars, the economic crises that we've had, things have felt like the end of the world's coming, and we always press on. That's the first one. So is this permanent? The second one, is this pervasive? And I think this is really, really valuable as well. Pervasive is another word for affects everything. So does the coronavirus affect every single aspect of your life right now? It can feel like it does. Does it affect your relationships? Well, hang on, I can't go out and see anyone. Okay, you need to think of new ways to do that. Pick up the phone, WhatsApp, what have you. Does it affect my work? Yes. Does it affect my shopping? Yes. But there should be other areas of your life that it doesn't affect, whether it's your reading or your learning or a hobby that you can do. There are other ways. You might have to adopt or adjust your exercise program. So when something goes wrong, usually at work, we often bring it home to our families, or something goes wrong with our health and we allow it to affect our exercise regime. So this compartmentalizing of problems into, okay, what does this really affect? That's the second one. So far we've got, is this permanent? Is this pervasive? And then the third one, which is probably not so applicable to coronavirus, is this personal? And what that means generally is, am I to blame? Could I have done anything differently here? And I think most people realize that coronavirus is not, it's not our individual fault, but we have opportunities and responsibilities to do different things. And I guess the question that all comes back to here, and it comes to an emotional thing or an anxiety thing, is what is in our control? I was talking to a friend this morning back in Australia, and he said, I'm really worried about this. I'm really, really worried about this. Now, he's an anxious sort of guy, and he hadn't, unfortunately, built this skill of asking himself, what am I in control of? I'll tell you a personal story. 9 months ago, I got a phone call from my father saying that my mother was in hospital in the ICU, and basically within 48 hours, I was in Australia. For 3 weeks, she didn't wake up. And I was told on a Thursday, 3 weeks later, your mother is going to die. We expect her to die by Monday. And I was obviously sad. But I asked myself, well, what can I do now? Well, I can try and spend as much time with her as I can. She still hadn't woken up. Anyway, she woke up on the Tuesday of that week. It was an absolute miracle, and she spent the next 3 months getting better. The medical problem that she had was pneumonia, which is a lung problem. In January of this year, my father passed away, and my brother lives in the countryside. I live in Switzerland. We decided we had to put mum into a nursing home. And when we made this decision, coronavirus was just becoming a thing, and it wasn't something that everyone was worried about at the time. And then I had to leave. I had to come back and be with my wife and my life here in Australia. And the point of the story is my mum is one of the key at-risk people for this virus. She's older, over 70. She's had lung problems. She's not in particularly good health anyway. And, she's been involved with the aged care system and the health system. And, if we're thinking about this bluntly, she could die if she got it. In fact, it's likely. So I've been using all my tools, from the mental fitness toolkit that we have in our business, to try and accept what I can accept, to control what I can control, and really, it comes down to those basic things that we keep hearing about, but that are sort of going in one ear, out the other. Wash your hands, social distance, connect with other people. And I think there's three really important groups of people that it's important that we connect with. So we know that mental health issues are a bit of a problem for a lot of people in normal circumstances. And we know that a lack of good quality social connection actually affects people's mental health. So there's three groups of people that I'd encourage your listeners to have a think about and to really reach out to. One is people who have recently ended relationships, who might not have reconnected with their social circle, who might be down in general and who are sitting at home either by themselves or in a new environment. So people who are broken up. Particularly in a city here like Basel, there's a lot of expats. The second group is new people. If you've got someone new at work who's new to town, and you've passed that person at the coffee shop or at the water cooler, reach out to them, whether it's by email or by phone. I think that's really important. And the third group is people who we're worried about generally. So both in Australia and in Switzerland, we have the Are You OK campaign, which is all about recognising the signs of people who are struggling with poor mental health. We're not able to see a lot of those signs at the moment because we're not catching up with people face to face, but we are going to be emailing them. We are going to be hearing what they say on text message. And so reach out to people and pick up the phone. And one of the things that I've been doing is I've got a goal at the moment to call one person every day. Call one person every day. And I've actually written it into my diary. It's a schedule. It's one of our one of the things I'm doing. I'm calling one person each day. Sometimes they're too busy to get back to me, but that's my goal. And I've got basically a 3-week rotation going that I'm going to set up over March and April. And that's how I'm going to connect with people.
Great. Wow, what a powerful story. Femke, your video is back again.
Yeah, and I also raised my finger.
Go for it, Femke.
No, yeah, thank you for sharing that story. I think that's it is a very powerful story. I picked actually out of this what you told Hadleigh about, Stefan, a few things, and I was thinking about how I'm dealing personally as an entrepreneur with this, and I picked us out of also of your stories, and how can you convert that in as an entrepreneur, and you're not alone as an entrepreneur. We all have our uncertainties, and a lot of us are scared. So do also not do this journey now on your own. Don't be afraid to share how you feel, or maybe you do not know what to do now, or or you're worrying about the money. I think it's very important to connect or reconnect with your network, even if that's in another way you're used to. Because a lot of things are virtual. The other thing I think is important, that's also how I personally experience it. Social media is full. Entrepreneurs, social media websites or groups or LinkedIn is with great initiatives. They look great. Everybody's busy how to solve again that quick fix action that can actually have. For me, it make me feel like, wow, I have to do something. Wow, everybody's so creative. Why don't I have that? I think it's also good to have certain times in a day to take a time off of social media, or allow you, certain times a day that you take a look at social media. But you don't have to go 24/7 on social media, because you see a lot of good things, and it can uplift you, but it also can make you feel a bit insecure. And structure is also an important thing. Keep your structure. And in that structure, put also happy things. It's okay to be happy. It's okay to do nice things. And Stefan, I was thinking about what you said. It's also okay to do something completely else, what is not related to your business, because you cannot work on your business the whole day long. I'm renovating a house at the moment. And as you can imagine, Corona has impact on the amount of workers we have in the house, and we are not on schedule. And I'm going to learn plastering now, watching videos how I can plaster. And the good thing about this, to do something completely else, it actually create that space, what I talked about again, create that space to, think about your business in a different way. By doing something else, I think you very often create space to think in a different way. Um, I think that's based on the conversation, what you both were talking about. I think this is really good for entrepreneurs to focus on structure. Keep your structure. Do also things that makes you happy. It's okay. Do something what is not related to your business, something you want to learn, maybe for a long time now. Do not do this on your own, and be honest about how you feel when you talk to other entrepreneurs. And approach social media and use social media in a realistic way. It looks always better and nicer, on the other side. But it doesn't mean that you have to feel this way or you have to act this way.
Yeah.
Hadleigh, go for it.
Yeah, I just wanted to build on what you said there about structure. Now, we've all heard the term work-life balance before. Now, personally, I'm not a big fan of that term. I prefer the term work-life integration. I think that's a more relevant term. You work when you need to work, and you live life. And for most people in professional jobs, and especially for entrepreneurs, really there's no separation. And the skill there is, given that your thoughts and your actions and your time online is so often focused on the business, you actually need to deliberately find time. In fact, you need to make time. You don't even need to find it. You deliberately need to make time for other things. And there's a couple of ways to do that. One way is to be really, really conscious of where in the house you do certain things. So, for example, now I'm lucky, I've got a study in our apartment. We've got a two-bedroom apartment, or a two-room apartment. This is my study. I work here. I do work-related things here. In the living room and the dining room, that's where I do my creative work. That's where I write. It's just a different feeling, different environment. And then the bedroom is for sleeping. I try and keep social media and technology out of the bedroom. That's the first thing. Time blocking is the second one. Time blocking is a technique, and it's something that people don't really do with digital calendars these days, but it's something we encourage people to do with their mental fitness diaries that we make, is allocate throughout the day the amount of time and when you will do a certain thing. So many people at the moment are probably getting up when they feel like it, and then sort of cruising into work and cruising into their offices or into their lounge rooms in their pajamas. This is a really simple trick for me, but psychologically, it makes a difference for me to wear my Resilience Agenda t-shirt. That means I'm working. Another thing for men, wear pants. So when I'm in the office here for the day, I'll actually get dressed in dress pants, do my work, and then when the day is over, I'll get changed back into tracksuit pants. And it's this ritual of going to work and coming out of work that I find really, really valuable. And then the third thing is prioritizing. And coming back to what you're talking about, social media there before, Femke, a lot of people are keeping very, very busy on social media at the moment, and you can feel like you're not doing enough. The question I always ask myself when I feel like I'm not doing enough on social media is, does this post, this comment, or whatever add value for my customers? Is it going to bring me a step closer to a client? And then the next question from that is this going to bring me any closer to a sale? That's the first thing. The second thing is the 80-20 rule. Not all actions have the same degree of impact. 80% of your results will come from 20% of your impact. So what does that mean? Well, instead of maybe writing a comment on a social media post, it's actually writing a personalized message to someone, asking them to actually meet up in 3 months when when this crisis lifts, or whenever we're able to do it. And the third question I always ask myself is, does this help me build a differentiation for my brand, or does it help me build the moat, like around a castle, around my business? Does it make me unique in any way? And if you're just saying what everyone else is saying on social media, you're not going to stand out. I've actually seen a couple of really, really bad examples of customer communication recently. I won't name the company, but I actually got an email from a competitor of mine, a part of their mailing list, and the title of the email was "COVID-19 is giving you a gift, the gift of time," and then it went on to explain how, with all this time you've got on your hands now, you should be buying their products, buying their journals, and it'll suddenly make everything okay. And then I got an email about half an hour later saying, look, we're really sorry if that was insensitive. We didn't mean to be insensitive. And I guess the lesson there is, on the one hand, you can use our shared experience and our common emotions of being a bit sort of, locked away, and you can appeal to that and you can empathize with people. I think that's really important. But I think for businesses as well, you've got to come across as not being too opportunistic, or salesy. And I think the businesses that will do well out of this situation are those that continue to add value, that teach or inspire or educate their customers. And I think you can really do a lot of groundwork now, and maybe in 3 or to 6 months' time, when people are more confident with their finances or their decision making, maybe that's the time to actually ask for a sale. So give to get, use this 3 to 6 month period for a customer nurturing period, and then only ask for a sale in 6 months' time, because I guarantee you a lot of businesses are going to be feeling cash flow issues, and they're going to be pushing sales or pushing courses or coaching or products on people. But if you can actually delay that a bit, you will differentiate yourself from your customers. I think that's really important.
Thank you for your thoughts, Hadleigh. Femke, you had the word.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with that. I think it's also important, and that's again coming back to values and belief. Whatever you do now in this coming 3 months, don't do it because of the corona crisis, but do it because that belongs to your company. It's part of the company, it's part of the bigger picture. I see now, and I also am not going to mention names, but I see some companies doing things. They, out of the blue, digital experts. And for example, I think, where is this come from? I don't actually believe you, because you never done this, and suddenly you are an expert on this and this, in these and these areas. Um, People will see that, and people will feel that. And because there is life after Corona, you still want to be able to exist after this 3 months. So what you do, what how you act, should be still very close. And again, this I'm repeating, but should be very close to your values, why you're starting your business, the heart of your business. I see again a lot of things. I think, really? Do you do this as well? Also with services or products. And I think, why do you offer this to me now? are you really the person I should go to or the company I should go to? And I see that more and more. And this is a panic reaction. I need to earn money now. It doesn't matter with what, as as long as I do something. And the problem with this is you might make some money now because people do also panic buys, but after these 3 months, these are not your clients anymore, and you lost your clients who believed in you, in your product, in your service, the way you were offering it. So I think that's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, I think that's really important. It could be that the people who are handing over money now are not the people you actually want to be your clients long term. And okay, if you need to pay the bills, if you're genuinely struggling, that's fine. But that's a great point, Femke, that who are the clients who are going to have considered reactions after this and say, well, because of Corona, or because of home office, or because of this and this, I am now more likely to do this, this, and this. And I think it comes back to so many. This is one of the core principles of starting a business. What pain point are you filling? What problem are you solving for your customers? And I think at the moment it's probably going to be very easy to say, well, the problem I'm solving is coronavirus related. And when there's no more coronavirus problem, are you actually selling a long-term solution that people are going to want, or are you going to look like you're behind the curve? So I guess if you can, it just takes time to think about this. Think about the post-corona world. What kind of decision making, what kind of thought process, what kind of emotions and feelings are your customers, both as people and as organizations, going to have in 6 or 12 months' time? And I suppose one way to look at this is Christmas is 9 months away. I think we'd all be shocked and a bit surprised and in need of a holiday if we're still under lockdown in 9 months' time. If that's the case, clearly a lot of businesses are going to struggle. If your product is related to the Christmas season, whether it's a gift product or it's a physical product or it's some kind of gift service, you should be starting to think about what can I do to nurture my clients now and what can I do in the lead up to Christmas. And so I think that midterm view is really, really important.
Great. Well, guys, I'm really happy that I invited you both because I don't have to do any talking, which is great. And yet I learned a lot. And also, I really value your advice, both of you. One last question, because we already are in about 40 minutes now, which is, what do you think? How the world will look like after the coronavirus, and how are you preparing for the change? What are you anticipating? And where do you see the greatest value that you can deliver in the post-corona time? Starting with you, Femke.
um, well, like with everything, what is stuff in life and personal crises, and it's a cliche, but it's true. You come stronger out of this, always. Um, you will learn to think differently. You also learn there are opportunities as well. So, how will the world look like after this? I hope and I do think that from an entrepreneur point of view, that we have entrepreneurs who see that they can manage a crisis. They know that they can deal with situations which are difficult. And I hope that a lot of entrepreneurs realize again that being an entrepreneur is actually very good in these kind of times, because for the reasons like you are in charge of this, you can make change, you can deal with it the way you want. I'm hoping that entrepreneurs of this crisis feel that I think this was really difficult. It had huge impact on me personally, probably, but in the end, I come actually maybe stronger out than people who are unemployed and have to wait how things are going, because I can deal with it. I think I can deal with it. That's maybe the biggest thing for entrepreneurs, how they come out. I do it.
Hadleigh, what about your thoughts?
If you read enough and speak to enough people, you learn that predictions are a fool's errand. After the global financial crisis, there were predictions that companies would manage their affairs differently, that people would become less materialistic, and that climate change would become a focus of policy. I actually get really skeptical when I hear predictions of this is how the world's going to change after Corona. I think a lot of us are going to go back to how things were. I hope, especially here in Switzerland, that more organisations are more open and flexible about working from home. Anecdotally, I've heard stories of companies that still don't allow it as a policy, and I think these sort of situations make a difference. Like Femke said, you will learn a lot from this situation, and I think part of the skill of getting through it is trying to figure out what you want to get out of this crisis, what opportunities, what learnings, what personal development can you get out of it. For my business, I'm hoping that that companies continue to take an interest in the whole person who comes to work. Well-being is not just flu shots and fruit bowls and fitness memberships. It's mental health, psychological health, and emotional health as well. And I think that could be a real positive takeaway. The question is, who's pulling the purse strings? Will companies have the time or the finances or the bandwidth to invest in people after this? I think it's very easy to get hung up on technology, but the greatest assets of any business, even software businesses, are still the people who work for them or with them. And I think investing in people is going to be, or could be, one of the big learnings from this.
Great. Well, thank you both for sharing your thoughts, also experiences. And I think this was very eye-opening for some. And I really cherish the fact that there were various thoughts and ideas. And it wasn't the classical, what you hear now online, push, 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 go for everything possible, create a new strategy, go with a digital solution, and just push yourself into people's faces so that you land the sale the next month or this month or the next week because you have to. So this was really refreshing, and I thank you very much, both of you, for sharing it. And with this, I think we can close the video conference call. Unless you have any last thoughts that you would like to share, please go ahead. Otherwise, thank you both for taking part. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to publish it together via social media in a very few days, I suspect. Thank you both.
Thanks a lot, Stefan.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.